Welcome to the Sensual Canvas, a soft landing space where creativity flows and presence becomes art. This season, I'm joined by creators, feelers, and soulful storytellers, each exploring the richness of self expression and sensual living. So take a deep breath in, settle in, and let's begin. Today, I am joined on the Sensual Canvas to talk to Alisson Addessi. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I am a fan of the show, and so I'm happy to be here.
You're so sweet. I know. I love how you're so generous with all your love and your comments, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that just feels so good. And then just giving it back because it's just not often that I come across an artist that's so just oh my God, this and that, and just so present. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. I very much I can't contain my excitement, so if I love something, you're going to know about it.
So, I mean, for people who don't know, you yourself are an artist, and I want to know a little bit more about that. So tell me about your style, tell me about just all of it. I want to hear.
Okay. So I would say that I've been an artist for as long as I could remember, as long as I could pick up something to draw with, I was doing that. And I moved around a lot as a kid. And so art was kind of this comforting thing for me. And it was hard to make friends because we'd be moving every, less than a year at one place. And so I would say my art style was very heavily influenced by the shows I was watching. So anime was a huge influence for me, and I love Disney as well. So I feel those played a big part in me trying to come up with my own characters and come up with these kind of friends that I could have that, I kind of maybe were not able to make in real life. And so that carried me on into high school and college. And I actually went to school for media arts and animation. So I thought I was going to go into making movies and things like that. And so I did 3D animation, and turns out I do not like making things move so much as I do just doing the pretty drawings and everything. So yeah, and I feel my style has really evolved. In college, there was a lot of because the anime influence was pretty heavy, they really at the time were oh, people aren't going to hire you if they see that that's your style. So I really kind of was trying to force something else, and it kind of moved towards more graphic novel-y. I still have stylized kind of art, not so much super. I'm not very good at super realistic or anything like that, but I've had different types of classes doing painting. We did figure drawing and things like that, so I have those basic things in my background too. But now I'm at this point where I'm it doesn't matter to me what it is that comes out. If it needs to come out, I just allow it to be. And it's taken me a long time to get to that point, because I did used to put so many restrictions on how things are supposed to turn out. And but now I'm just more going with the flow and listening to how the expression just wants to come out of me. And so I do a lot of playing in my sketchbook, a lot of messiness, and just seeing how things go.
Definitely. That whole messiness, that is where we can truly just allow ourselves to just create from whatever space we need to, and then show up in the stuff that we're really, really into, right? I know that you've been getting a lot of attention from this artist, this singer, which has been so cool to see. I mean, tell me a little bit about that, how this type of I want to know what spoke to you particularly about this artist, and then how you felt into that and then created your own art from that.
Oh my gosh, this is so on point. So the artist is Queen Herby, and she is a rapper, and she has a lot of spiritual undertones. Well, not undertone, it's straight up spiritual, magical, badass witchery type stuff. And so I just like, when I first heard her music, I was like, whoa, something about like, and rap isn't something I normally like gravitate towards, but the words, there was something in the words. I was like, wait, what would she say? And then I just like kept listening to her music. Really, like, her music has become like the soundtrack to like certain chapters in my life. Just really spoke to me in ways that helped me feel seen, in ways that I just didn't understand yet, because I was still I've been on like this spiritual journey and trying to figure out like what it even means. And I grew up Catholic, so I had like that in my background too. And I'm like, this is so different from that, but there is still something that's connecting that together. And so, and like art also plays a big influence in that as well. But yeah, so so funny, because I did a drawing of her in the music video. The lighting was really interesting. She was wearing like this funky dress, and I was just like, oh my God, it's such a vibe. I love it so much. And so I ended up doing this. This was like last month. I did the drawing of her, and I just had something in my mind that was like, hey, you should post this video right now. And it was like past my bedtime, like not the time I would normally be like on social media. And I was like, okay, let me do it. And so I did just something really quick. It wasn't even finished. It was not perfect by any means, but something told me to do it. So I did. And then the next day, as I'm like going about my day, I'm like doing an audio voice note to myself. And I was like, I just feel really excited for some reason. I just feel like I'm going to have like this full circle moment where I feel like Queen is going to see that drawing for some reason, because she did see one of my pieces of art the year before. It was almost like a year to the day when this had come up. So I don't know, something in me was like tingling, my spidey senses or something. And I go about my day, and then a few hours later, I'm like getting all these notifications on Instagram. I'm like, what is happening? Oh my gosh. And she commented on it. She saw it. She shared it to her stories. And it was just like, whoa, I had a ton of eyes on me that I hadn't had before, which is like, ooh, kind of scary to the nervous system. But this is something that I've been like asking for, especially being on this entrepreneurial journey. You know, I like have my own podcast now. I have my YouTube videos. So this was like a taste of what that would be like, you know, to like have all these people on you, and like just to be like noticed by her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, like she's literally on Instagram too, and seeing things, and like actually interacting with people who interact with her art. And like that just means so much to me, because in her podcast that she does, she always talks about like, or she always says, we need your art, we need your art. And that inspired me so much. And I like kept going, kept doing that. And I actually shared, I did another drawing because she dropped another EP yesterday, or in the last week. And I did a drawing yesterday, and she freaking commented on it. And I'm just like, dude, this is happening again. Like, oh, it's just so wild to me. Like the energy of like, of being witnessed, like, oh, my art, you like my art and I love your art so much. Like that exchange is like so cool. And like I feel like there's like a thread of that with me speaking to you too, like, oh my gosh, like I really like your art, and now we're like, you know, doing this thing together. And it's, yeah, super cool.
And then ultimately it's so beautiful, because it's like the world isn't that big. Like it's actually really small.
Yeah.
And where we might have thought like a long time ago that we're like worlds apart from these like people, because of social media, we're getting closer and closer to like, yeah, we are literally in their hand when they're like laying down and scrolling, or, you know, all these things. So it's just, it's incredible that you've made that connection already, and multiple times. And it just goes to show that your art is speaking to her on a deep like level, and she's like supporting that. So that's so cool.
Yeah, like is this real?
Thank you, universe. More, please.
Yeah.
That is so neat, though. And so you were saying a little bit about like the colors from like the music video. So like a bit of that like inspired you to like take that particular shot.
Yeah, it's actually, it was like the colors that are behind you are pretty similar to it. It's like these reds, these oranges, and that's not a color palette that I normally play with. Normally I do things very like almost like a cartoon character with like, this is the skin tone, this is the hair, this is the color of their shirt, this is their pants. But it was all like, you know, because of the way it was lit up, it's like you really had to pay attention to like the tones and everything to make it stand out, but still be in the same color palette. And yeah, so it was like, whenever I finished that, I was like, that was good. That was like
I
something new to play with, and I had fun with it, and I didn't overthink it. And so I think since I was able to come and like create the art with that energy, I feel like that also translated as well.
Totally. That feeling that you're describing, it reminds me of like when I get inspired to pick certain subject matter. It's like I can't describe it with words. It's only like the feeling that just like ignites. It's just like I have to do this. Like I need to like just put it on paper into the canvas in some way. And it's incredible. Sometimes it surprises me how my art comes through, because sometimes when I sit down to it, it's like I had no idea that's what it was going to be. Even I haven't told you this. And so I have this like painting right now in the studio. And when you first started to like come on to like the women's group and you were talking just so openly, I was like, this beautiful energy that she exudes. Like, I just want to like play with that, like that energy. And so I started painting. I'm like, why is this starting to look like freaking Ali over here? I'm like, what the hell?
I love that.
So if you see one of the paintings, you're like, is that me? Answer is yes.
Oh
Your
my
beautiful
gosh,
energy inspired that.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Oh, like that gave me goosebumps because, like, yeah, like you said too. Sometimes you don't know what's going to come out. You just feel like this needs to be expressed, and I think it takes a while to be able to even get to that point to like to know. Okay, because I think, well, for me, I've like tried to logic it too much. Like, no, that color doesn't go with that or whatever, but in that like energy of being playful and like just seeing what happens, like you really do get the magic.
Yeah, totally. From that, it's like, okay, like put it out there. Like it's so awesome that you're like not holding back and you're just like sharing openly. Like you're flipping through like your sketchbooks on your social media. It's so fun to like see all of that content. For me personally, like my sketchbook is very private, but I think seeing you just like open up and just being so like, here it is, it's also making me feel like maybe I could also put a little bit more out there and maybe show a little bit more of like who I am instead of just like the paintings that are the final result, you know? So I also embrace like that very like sporadic messiness that, you know, I just like, I'll be in a park and I'm like, just paint whatever. And like I post that up and it's like, that feels good because I'm not like attached to it, but I am connected to the experience, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like I could care less about like comments or anything like that come negatively because I was in a good like feeling in that energy, you know?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that way? Like you just want to like put it out there and you're like, I really don't care what people think. Like I just like need to put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that's come to me, especially this year. Like I've recently discovered like, oh shoot, this is like super healing for me. Like that was the thing that was so unexpected, is because I had like this perfectionist tendencies that would stop me from doing so much. And I'm like, how much art did I not make because I was so stuck in that, like, I can't show that, I can't do. And now like it just blows my mind. Like here's another example. Last week I was just showing some prints that I had. I was like cleaning out my office and I was like, okay, here are some prints that I have, just like a casual, like here on my floor. If anyone wants them, just let me know because I'm getting rid of them. And then made a sale. Like what? Old versions of me would have been like, no way, girl. You in that lighting? What are you talking about? You know, but it's like I think it's that energy of like the not having the attachment, and like people are able to like I get more interaction with people too. Like they feel more comfortable because they know me, because I do feel like I'm pretty casual now. Like I'm like I'll be sitting on the floor painting and I'm like, here's a video. This is what I'm thinking about right now. And this is what I'm doing. And is it the most flattering? No, I don't care. But this is what I'm up to. And it's human and it's real. And that I feel like is so important to be able to share.
Yeah. And I think for me, so much of what I want to see in social media is that raw, that real, that authentic, just, hey, let me be like sporadic and show you what I'm up to or tell you how I'm feeling. It's just more and more of that is what we need, like on social media, not the stage stuff, not the, overly, we're thinking too much about it. It's just like, show up, show me who you are. I know I did a reel the other day like that, where I was just like, I had just woken up and I'm like, I want to go live right now. And I'm like, shit, I can't go live anymore. Well, I need to just put this out there. And so I was just like giving like a brief update about like the recent painting that I've been doing, and just putting it out there already moves that energy to bring in more. And so it's like, come on, like it's out there. Okay, good. Now that painting looks completely different. And so it's like, let's play more with that type of energy and put it out there, for people to see that rawness. So I do
Yeah.
appreciate that about you.
Thanks. Yeah. I appreciate like that you're opening up too. And like, cause I've seen, I mean, I've only known you for a little bit, but I have seen like how you slowly started to like show a little bit more, and like, yeah. So I love that. I love it. And I agree with you about, we want to see the real human, not the perfect like AI generated, like, so, and so like those little like messy, and when I use the word messy, like I use it like with endearment now, because that used to be a word that I was like, no, I don't want to be messy, but now I'm like, embrace it, like it's human, it's real, it's authentic, and it's like those little quirks are really what make you.
Yeah, totally. So we touched on creativity, which is like a huge part of like, us as artists, but I want to know about your sensuality. Tell me a little bit about like, what does the word mean to you?
So sensuality it's a very like sensory experience. It's tactile, it's all the senses, and it's relating to pleasurable things to me. And so like I don't necessarily think it's like intercourse by itself. Yeah, it can lead to that, but I feel like there's so many other like little nuances and things that can be very sensual and just enjoyable. And I'm a Libra, so I'm like, I love those things. So like, I'm like, like a smell can like, ooh, like, give me that response. And like the texture of like certain clothes, and like all the senses create that whole thing of sensuality.
Yeah. Do you feel like you bring sensuality into like your day to day?
I am embracing it much more now. I feel like I was super like feeling like confident in my body, like especially in the years when I was playing roller derby. I was really like, ooh, and I would just wear, the tiny little booty shorts, and I didn't care, and I was like, yes, go me, and like really embracing like my body, and because I was around other people who were also doing that. And I'd love to do on game day, I'd do like this fierce makeup and like my hair, and like I'd make it a whole thing. And it was like after I retired, like I really lost like being able to express myself in that way, and I started having health issues, and so I felt like disconnected from my body. And so I decided to like, 2023 is like when I was like, okay, I got to change everything. I got to make sure I'm like, because I was just going through the motions of life and I just didn't feel great. And I'm like, I want to reconnect with myself in these different ways. And another thing is like, I've always had like irregular cycles, and like working with Jess is like one of the things that has really come up to me. Like it was in my mind, and then like I met her and I was like, ooh, there's something more to like even being in touch with my cycle that I've not paid attention to. And so all of those things like are playing in this way in my life now that they haven't before. And moving my body in these different ways, like I bought a course that was called Shake Your Ass to Heal Your Past, and it's a twerking tutorial. Oh my gosh, has that been healed? That has healed me. I am not joking. Something about that kind of movement, like shaking your ass really does heal. Like and so like embracing those kind of movements. I wouldn't call myself a dancer, but I like to move. And so I'll watch like belly dancers. I'm like, ooh, I want to learn how to do that. Why can't I move like that? And then I took that course, and I was starting to feel like a little bit loosen up, and so like now I can move my body in like these subtle ways that I couldn't, even just 6 months ago. And I'm like, Ooh, I like that. And so I feel like I'm reconnecting with my body in this new way too. And so that's like another way I'm trying to connect with sensuality and yeah.
Nice. It's so beautiful. I mean, I think like for a lot of people, it's like that are stuck. It's like, oh, I don't know how to move, therefore I don't. Oh, I'm
Mm,
going to do it wrong, so I'd rather not. Like, or I don't want to make a fool of myself for all these different things. And it's like, who cares? Like, if you just move, your body will naturally like feel what it needs to feel and move how it needs to. Like,
mhm.
and so like it's just so cool that you're saying like it worked. It's like, yeah, because you moved your body, you let it like, feel whatever it needed to feel. So I love that. And
Yeah.
that, that is like a brilliant name. That's creativity at its finest,
Right?
right?
Yeah. I was like, that was too perfect. And like yeah, it was like so mind blowing to me that it was so effective, just like
Yeah.
this particular kind of movement. And I think like society like looks at twerking like, ew, no, like that's, shaming. And I'm like, whatever, fuck all that, like I don't care if somebody is telling me that there's something to this, like I'm gonna try it out. And so I'm here to say I'm here for the twerking, the dancing, the shaking of the ass, all of the things.
Can't help but think of my sister because she's like the type of person that she just like she'll be in the middle of the street and she'll just start like twerking like on the pole or something. I'm like, what are you doing? She's just like feeling it. I'm like, all right, that's who you are.
Yeah, I love that. Or I love seeing the videos where it's like a super like slow, like serious song. They're like, you can twerk to anything. And I'm like, respect.
Oh my God, that's too good. No, you you would like laugh if you saw my twerking skills. I like look like a like
Tina from
no.
Bob's Burgers.
Oh my God.
Yes, I was there too. I have to show you the course. I'll send it to you.
Oh
Live
my God.
tweaking.
I need to learn. I need to get on this already. I need to move my butt. No, I do a lot of like Jess when we were at her live retreat, she was showing us how to do like these I think they're like belly dancing esque type of moves, but like the way that you move, like just your like hips, it is crazy. Like how much like energy as women we store like in our hips,
Mhm.
and like afterwards, just like a bunch of like emotions like came through, and we were just like we were all crying, and we were just like moving. It was just powerful stuff.
Mhm.
I don't like normally tell just anybody this, but we even conjured up like a storm. Like it was clear skies
Powerful.
in Spain and like six women like doing these like somatic movements, and the storm like rolled in and we were all like, yep, that was us.
Oh my gosh, that gives me goosebumps.
Craziness.
Yeah, so powerful. Yeah, I freaking believe that. Like, and especially after like what I've been through in like this last year and experiencing that for myself. Yeah, we do hold so much in there, and we're never taught. We're never taught about that. And so, yeah, I believe, and I know Jess is magical too. So I'm like, absolutely, yeah.
Of course, like of course you did.
Yeah.
So I've seen you also online doing a lot of like roller skating. And so did that come from like roller derby, or did you skate like before that?
I skated as a kid, so I was like
Nice.
a rink rat, at one point, birthday parties, the weekend, whatever. We happened to live close to a rink for like one part of my life, and then I did like the rollerblades because that was like cool in the 90s. So and then I like just roll around outside. So that's where like my first time like experiencing it and like loving it. And I've even seen pictures of me being even younger on roller skates, and I'm like, I don't remember that, but I definitely remember being like 7 and 8 and going to the roller rink for birthday parties, and then like we moved around, and like I didn't pick up skates again until I was an adult, until I was like 22 when I found roller derby, and I'm like, haven't skated since I was a kid, but here we go. And I know a lot of people in derby who learn to roller skate just to play the sport, which I'm just like, whoa, good for you.
Oh, okay. Tell me about roller derby. What is that like? I've seen it like in a movie, but I don't really know like what it is. Like what is the concept behind it?
So so you have two teams and you have 5 people on each team, and it's a series of 2-minute races. So you have your jammer, which are the ones that wear the stars. They're the ones that score the points. And then you have your blockers. And so when the whistle goes off, basically the jammers have to fight their way through the pack of the blockers and then go make laps around them as many times as they can. For every person that they pass on the opposing team, you get a point. So offense and defense is being played at the same time. So it's like, there's no just like, oh, okay, I'm through. Like, you got to do it again, over and over again, you know, until the 2 minutes is up or the jam gets called off. So it's a full contact sport on roller skates. Like, and people are like, oh, is it like wrestling? I'm like, it used to be at one point, but no, it's a real, like, those hits are real. The injuries are real. Like,
Whoa.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's nuts. So you actually like get physical, like in roller derby.
Yeah. There's a ton of rules, and like I joined at a time where like I got to witness the rules change, and this is all like made by the skaters too. So like there were different like different governing bodies, and so like people would send their representatives and then they would vote on like, hey, which rules should we create? And then like the teams that would go to like the nationals or whatever would like find ways to break the rules. And so the next year they'd have to change the rule set so to accommodate for that. Yeah. Like the roller derby community was just like so amazing to be a part of as a skater, as like just to witness like all of these strong women, you know, together doing this thing, all types of bodies, all types of shapes, sizes, backgrounds. Like I just loved having that experience. And even today, like the connections that I made back then still like trickle out, and I still connect with some of those people, even as someone who's not skating.
Wow. That is so cool. Like creating community around like all that, like it's just females, right?
So it depends on where you're at, but now it's everybody, you know. There's co-ed leagues. I skated in a co-ed, we had a co-ed league, or we had co-ed practices, which was like very unusual in the beginning because it used to just be women, and there have been like, you know, discussions back and forth about like including trans skaters and things like that. So like the co-ed is like everybody, or all gender is probably the better term instead of co-ed. And yeah, so there's different rules depending on which like rule set you're skating with. But for me, I like, it never mattered to me. Like I even, like I said, since I skated with co-ed, I'm like, I don't care who you are, whatever. Like, I just want to skate, you know, and if you want to skate, I'm down for that, you know? And so, yeah. And I'm on the shorter side too. I'm only 5'1". So like, I skate with people who are much larger than me, but we all have our own unique like strengths when it comes to that too. And you just like get to know your body and then figure out like, yeah, how to go from there.
So you didn't feel that there was like much of a difference between like the co-ed league and like the all women's league?
Oh yeah, there was definitely.
Yeah.
Like if we were playing, like just watching the men play, they play so much with their shoulders and their upper body and everything, and they're like super jumpy. Whereas I feel like with women, it's definitely because I guess our body build, you know, makes a difference in that. But that's, you know, but you always will have those skaters who will skate a little bit more one way. And again, it's all based on your body and your strengths. And I don't know, I see people jumping all the time. I was like, no. Y'all like, have fun flying around, just
jumping like, over people and stuff.
Yeah. And there's like a part of the track because it's like an oval shape, and there's like it was a very popular move to be able to jump from like one side to right there, and it wouldn't be considered a cut if you landed it. And so like that, and people would try and block, and people would like. Some people would, and anytime someone nailed it, it was like always great when you were watching a game because the crowd would always just like lose it, you know? And yeah, it was just like, oh, or when someone took like a really bad fall and didn't make it, it was just like, oh, everybody felt it. You know, it was like,
jeez, man, that's so cool. Like I had never really like known like much about like roller derby, and the fact that you're just like talking about all these different like aspects of it, it's just so exciting. It's so cool.
You should go see a game like at least once. Like find your local derby and like go to a game because it's still
around, right?
Yeah, there has to be. There's like all sorts of different ones. Some of them are like bigger than others, and like things shifted a little bit during 2020 and a lot of leagues like kind of went under, but I see little like groups popping up again. And like, I'd say like Facebook is usually the best place that they do. And you usually get to see 2 games and it's super like intimate. You get to meet the skaters. They're happy to sign autographs, you know, and all that stuff. So
How fun is that though, to be a part of that? I have also seen that you have been a part of the Army?
The Navy, yes, I was a veteran.
Navy. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Ali, I feel like you've lived like so many lifetimes. Like, and you don't look over like 20.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I did that. I know sometimes like I look back and when I talk about it, I was like, wait, I did that too. Oh yeah, and that. But yeah, I was in the Navy. I joined the Navy Reserves and I served for 6 years. And not only was I in the Navy, which is like, wow, weird in itself, but I actually did construction in the Navy, which is like another branch that is like, I don't know, I find myself in just like these weird, obscure like things. Like, yeah, they're like, wow, okay. So I'm like, so I've never been on a ship. So anytime I meet someone else in the Navy, they're like, oh, where were you? And I was just like, San Diego, like not on a ship at all. Like, because yeah, that was just part of the job that I did. So
you did construction for the Navy for 6 years, or that was just like a part of it?
That was like what my job was. So like I really didn't do much because I was in the reserves. I was living in Houston at the time, but we would do training in San Diego, and I would just like play around with forklifts and drive buses and Humvees and stuff. So I specifically was an equipment operator. So I operated the heavy machinery. And like if I was active duty and like doing my job specifically, we would go out to places and like set up camp pretty much. So we'd like bulldoze the area and then we'd set up the tents and everything. We'd be responsible for that. And then like transporting the goods, the equipment off of the boats, the ships. If we'd build the bridge, the floating bridge to bring the equipment off of the ships onto land so that we were able to do all that. So that's what I would have done. I mean, did I do any of that? No, I mean, buses, got that. Forklifts. Yeah, that was about it for me.
Wow. Wild. Like wild that you are the same person that's like done all these different things.
Yeah.
Like,
and also like, what was I doing? What did I think I was doing in the military? Like, it's just like, would I do it now? Absolutely not. But
wow. So heard briefly, like you touch on like the dynamics between like the men and you as like a female being in like their space. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious like a little bit more as to that. Like, do you feel like you have like worked through a lot of that, I don't know, that dynamic like now, like as like your own artist, female?
Yeah, a little bit. It's interesting because I felt like I would always find myself in these places where it was very male dominated. And so I felt like I always just got along with men better than women until I joined roller derby. Because even when I was in the Navy, I wasn't close with any of the other women. It was always this kind of like this level of like competition or something. And like I talked to, you know, some of the people that I served with now, and it was just like, yeah, it's so weird. Like, why didn't we ever talk before? Like, why were we this like? But that was just like the mentality of how it was there. And it was like, I don't know, it's strange. And it wasn't until I joined roller derby where I was able to develop like that sisterhood and like understand like, oh, this is what a healthy relationship with other women looks like, you know, and I got to experience that. And so I don't know, I feel like my relationship with like how I interact with men is still like, it's so different now, especially since now that I like work from home now, like I don't have that interaction to like pull that experience from. But to me, I'm just like, I just go so much on vibes, you know? So, and I can see so much of like what men are struggling with these days, and you know, and I mean, and women too. And I don't know, like my husband is the one that I interact with the most, and I can see a lot of the things that are projected onto him and like all of that stuff. And so it gets a little complicated for me, and some like I'm not gonna lie, because like I'm a queer woman in this straight presenting relationship, and sometimes I'm just like, ooh, I can't get enough of you. And other times I'm like, I don't even want to look at you. So, and I'm like, I don't even want to look at a man again for the rest of my life. And so, like, I just have moments like that. So I don't know if it's a great example, but
No, it's so honest, and it's so like it's hard to like pinpoint for me like this like feeling because I've only ever been in like my straight relationship, like and relationships. So even though I've always felt like a deep connection to women, like just like in admiring their sensuality and just like their essence, I feel like for me it like at younger ages it was like very competitive. So it was like I have to compete with these women to win the approval of the men in my life. And so like for me, like healing that and then being able to actually have like women close to me that I'm not feeling like in competition with is just like a whole different like arena. And I'm like, wow, I can actually cheer these women on. Wow, I can actually like support and uplift. Like, holy shit. Like, it's a different type of energy, like, than what I used to, believe.
yeah.
And so, like, coming from that, and then now, like, seeing like my relationship and just, feeling into like, okay, like, we've been together so long, and then sometimes I'm like, yeah, you pissed me off and I just want to like get out of my face. Like it's just you do like I think for me in those moments like I do like lean on like a female energy, and whether that's in like my art, whether it's like connecting with the women like in the group, like I have found that like peace in that energy. So,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because I'm like, there's this like masculine and feminine energy, and I've felt it from both men and women, like that they can both experience it. So, yeah, I can't really like say specifically that I've had that like same experience, like with your like, being like a queer woman, but I mean, I admire like all these different types of just energies, that exude from like one human body. I
Yeah.
don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so interesting that you also had that, like, I don't know, maybe it was like, it must be a cultural thing to have like, oh, I'm in competition with other women and I can't cheer them on. And like, we're definitely in a different place now. I'm like, wow, now like the fact that we have this group, like it's a lifeline. Like I'm like, I need that, And so I think that's part of why I'm so open with like dishing out like the love and the compliments and like, whatever support however I can, because like I suppressed that for so long because I felt like, or if I did say it, it would be taken like the wrong way or like, something like that. I don't know. That's still like unraveling that, but I just like know the energy now is different, and definitely having to incorporate both instead of just going one way or the other.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you've definitely inspired me to like just give out those, compliments like to people like online, because even for me, it was like, oh, I don't know this person. They don't know me. Like, they're going to be like, who the heck is like, who cares about that person like complimenting me? And then I'm just like, I just liked your stuff so much. So I think for me, it's just like seeing you just give it, and you don't even you hadn't even known me that long, and you were already like, oh my gosh, like your art, you're this, you're that, like good job. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like I'm gonna do that too. I'm like, because I do have this like flowing energy, but sometimes I'm like, should I? It's like, yes, if that's how I feel about it, who cares if this person doesn't know me? They're still gonna feel that energy. It's like coming from an authentic place,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Wow,
yeah.
that's so interesting. Like the whole like the being scared thing. And I'm like, is that an inner child thing? Is that, I think culture has a lot to do with it too. Yeah. So
Yeah. What is your culture?
I am half Filipino. My mom is Filipino, and I am also a Texan. So I'm like, that's my culture. Very much like I'm like, wait, how do I say it in a good way? Because I'm like a spoiled ass Texan. That's what I am. And I'm like, I love my Mexican food. I love my access to Asian food. And yeah, I like being in the warm place. And yeah, it's interesting being in Texas. And so there's like obviously like a huge influence with the Mexican population too. And I also lived in El Paso, which is a border town. And so that was such a fun place to be. And I've made good friends with some people over there too. But I just felt right at home. Like something about like Filipinos and Mexicans like are like this, you know? So I'm like, dude, I feel like we know each other. Like, yeah, I'll eat that too. You know, like I love mangoes and like tajin and like all that stuff. Like the flavor, there's like words that are similar and certain flavor profiles that are so like, that just are so overlapping. And yeah, so I'm like, I vibe with that. So
that's why we vibe.
Yes.
I feel like here in California, we have like such a diversity of like food. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's very interesting because I'm having friends visit me in October. And it's like, I'm realizing that a part of like the I don't want to say culture, but like my like bubble of society, it is influenced by like my Mexican like roots and also like living in California, you know? So it's like being in California, mm-hmm. like we have the border of Mexico. And so, you know, migrants, workers, they come up the coast and it's just, that was my family. That's been like very present. And so it's really cool to see how it's not just like American, it's like Mexican American all into California.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, California and Texas, like even those, like even like the Mexican food in California and Texas, and even in like Arizona, even in New Mexico, they're all different. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I've never been to Texas or Arizona, so like you would have to tell me.
My husband is from New Mexico. And so like whenever like we started dating and like he came to Texas and I was like, yeah, here, this is our food. And he was like, what the heck is this? Where's the green chili? Like, he's like, why don't you have this? And I'm like, oh, and I was like, oh, okay. New Mexican flavor is very different too. So
rip out. Like I came across a video of like 4 different women speaking Spanish, but all saying different words of the same like English word. And so I found it so fascinating that like all these different like Spain and like Mexico, like all these different places, they'll have a different word for, you know, one English word. So yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that like even, I mean, just like how there's different like dialects, like accents, like there's even different accents depending on what part you live into.
Oh yeah. When we have a cousin that frequently visits the US from Mexico City, and she talks so fast that I'm like, I didn't catch anything you said. Like, and I can get by with like, you know, my broken Spanish, but for her, it's just like, I'm like, I don't know.
I didn't catch that.
I need little closed captions.
Yeah.
So before you go, I wanted to talk a little bit about your book. And yes, like just applaud you for that because that's so incredible. Like, tell me how it came about, like how the opportunity presented itself. Like, what has that been like?
Wow. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Because so I wrote a chapter in this book called Radical Courage. Didn't know. I just had it on my desk. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And so I joined, it was at the beginning of this year that I decided to go all in as an entrepreneur and in my business. And I got into this group because I started journaling. Someone posted something on my Facebook and they're like, what if you could change your life with pen, paper, and intention? And I was like, okay, you got me there. Mm-hmm. And so like I did these journal prompts. She sent them out all throughout 2024 and it changed my life. Like writing changed my life. Oh my gosh. Like when I say like, I don't even have the words. Like I try to share the stories because they are just so unbelievable. Like the things that have changed in my life through the writing. And so it was like, one thing led to another. I kept following like those intuitive things. I was working at this warehouse manufacturing these pens and I still work for this company, but I was like, I I need to do something bigger, something that's going to allow for my creativity to come through, something with more flexibility. That's literally what I was writing out. And I was like, I put in my notice at my job. I'm like, I don't even have a backup plan. And then the next week, my boss comes up to me and is just like, hey, do you want to manage the social media for our company? And I was like, what? Did I literally write about this? And so, yeah, anyways, that ended up, I also manifested a chunk of money too by writing it out. It helped me pay off some bills. And then I suddenly had the schedule freedom. And then I got invited to this event that was like somehow incorporated with the person that was sending the journal prompts. And they're like, hey, we want to work with soul-led entrepreneurs and create this container. And, like if you've been stuck on all of these things, then we're here to help you. And just being in that space unlocked so much for me. And I was like, I was meant to be here. All of those things lined up for me to find this place. And so I joined that. And part of joining that is this. So it was like, and did I think that I would ever be a published international best-selling author? What?
Cool.
Yeah, just had no idea. And that's basically my story, is like how I got to like where I am today. And the whole theme is radical courage. There's 50 other authors in here, and they have all shared their chapter, sharing their different stories of what it took to embrace the radical courage. And I feel like that's definitely been a theme for me this year. So and just like I said, that one thing led to another, and like found Jess, and she absolutely helped me like get to the place where I was like, oh my, it opened up so much. So I'm like, I don't even have the words. It just all like, one thing led to another, and it snowballed into that. So yeah, just can't believe that happened, but here we are.
So impressive. Will you share like a little something, like a sentence or like a random page or whatever you want?
Yeah. So mine is all about my story about how I moved back to Texas, and the story, my chapter is called The Pen and the Path Home. So it's literally about how I ended up journaling to change my life. I rewrote my life. I rewrote the patterns that I had. I unlocked a lot of things, and I also like developed a framework, and it's called like the Astral framework. And like I follow it like align, sense, transform, radiate, activate, and liberate. And those are all things that through my social media I try to like embody those things too. And yeah.
Oh, that's so powerful. And it's so in alignment with like all the things that like you bring into just your energy and your space. So that's so incredible that it could get put into just this beautiful book, like for so many people to experience.
Yeah.
So where can people like purchase it or find it? Or
So it is on Amazon. There's the Kindle version, and we also have the paperback version. Just look up Radical Courage, Jess Hughes, and you should be able to find it. And there are multiple books. This is the Creative Life book series. This is the fourth one in that series. So you'll also see Radical Freedom is another one. And we are going to be coming out with a couple of more this year. So I'm probably going to jump into those books as well. And yeah, so I'll definitely share more details as those things come along.
So exciting. So I want to know if you could send a message out to someone who was in your shoes, who was feeling like they couldn't take that leap of faith or that step that you took, like what would you tell them like right now?
I love you, and trust yourself. Like dig deep and really listen to yourself, not all of the ideas that other people have fed to you or the things that you grew up hearing. Like really listen to what it is inside of you that is calling you forth. And if you follow that, like things will unfold in ways that you never could have expected.
Ali, thank you so much for being on the Sensual Canvas. And I look forward to meeting you in person one day and sharing all like many more stories. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
And there you have it. Another episode of the Sensual Canvas. thank you again to Alisson Addessi for joining me and being so generous with your time, being so open to the conversation. And I hope that anyone watching is really connecting with the content, connecting with, you know, all these incredible people that have come on and shared so openly. If you're interested in checking out Alisson's art, if you're interested in following her content, I'll be sure to put all her info down in the description. And so, yeah, be like Alisson, spread the love, just wholeheartedly, abundantly. Give this video a like, a share, a follow, all that good stuff. And I look forward to the next one.